Hello, Yogi. Thank you for joining me today on your introduction into the yoga, breathwork, and meditation practices. Really glad I get to share these practices with you as they have created a tremendous amount of change for me in my life and for my ability to send happiness, love, and care out into the world. And so we're going to jump right into these practices since this is the short time we have together. And if you can, see if you can sit on the ground with your legs crossed. For most of us, this is going to be very uncomfortable. You're going to feel things in your hips that don't feel right. Your knees are probably up high, and you're going to feel some stuff in your back. So the suggestions I make for feeling that is to make sure you have 3 pillows with you. One of these pillows is going to go underneath your bum, so that you can sit up higher than the ground, which makes it easier for the knees to be supported. Some of us are still going to be here. So, bring some cushions underneath where your knees are at. Slide them all the way in so it feels like there's some comfort there. Still might not be perfect, but that's okay. No worry about that. And if even with 2 sets of pillows on each side and a big pillow underneath you, if you're not feeling comfortable, then you can take this seated posture of cross-legged meditations in a chair. So once you've decided whether you're going to be cross-legged or in a chair, I want you to simply begin by focusing into the practice. And we do that by finding a single point out in front of us, about a foot in front of us, on the ground, and decide that that's going to be the one point that you look at for about a minute or so. Naturally, the eyes are going to try to wander away from that spot and look at something else. That's fine, that's normal. But at that point, when you notice it happening, try to decide, wait, I've become distracted. I'm going to come back to that single point of focus. If we can use our external source of vision to begin focusing on one thing, we can then internally focus on the means of growing through the yogic breathwork and meditation practices. So I'm going to give you some time now to simply gaze on one point. As you're looking at this one point, start to notice that your breath could get a little bit deeper if you tried to pull in more air. And when you exhale, see if you can push out more air. They say that we naturally only exhale about 40% of the air that we take in, leaving a lot of stale air in the body. I want you to try to make your exhales now 60% longer. As the exhales get longer, you'll find that you have more space in the body to fill up with a bigger inhale. And try noticing that at the end of your exhales is when the beginning of your inhales start. And when the inhales end, the exhales begin. This creates a continuous loop of one thing to focus on, which is all we'll focus on for about a minute now as I ask you to close your eyes. This is a very simple way of moving the mind towards a meditative state. Simply noticing something happening inside of you. Notice inhales. Notice exhales. And what you can notice about them, for one, is where they are felt. Some of us feel the inhales and exhales at the tip of the nose, inside the nostrils, up between the eyebrows. Some of us feel it in the throat or the the chest where the lungs are at. Some of us feel it near the diaphragm, the muscle that pulls the lungs open and presses them shut. Some will feel it in the belly, and a lot of us will feel it in these spots that are sore, achy. A few more moments of simply noticing your breath. So just like the eyes did earlier, the mind will try to wander away from the breath and think about something else. No worries, that's normal. Attaining to meditation is not about how long you can focus on the breath for, but instead, how many times you're willing to come back to the breath once you realize you've been distracted. Alright, we'll shift away from our beginning meditation to move into yogic postures, which are called asanas in Sanskrit. Inhale and reach your arms out and up. Exhale and reach your hands to the earth in front of you. If you need to switch which leg is in front because you've gotten a little creaky, or you need to extend one leg because you're coming out of a knee injury, feel free to let that happen. It'll look like this. So as you're reaching forward, you probably feel something stretching in the body. I can feel the middle of my back starting to stretch, and I can feel the back of my hips trying to come up off the ground. Simply try to send the back of the hips back towards the earth, and maybe you can reach your arms a little further. So where you're feeling your stretch at, imagine that your inhales are inflating a bubble next to those spaces, and that your exhales are letting those spaces deflate, which might just help them relax a little bit more. With an inhale, reach back up. As you exhale, bring your hands over towards the right hand side. Walk your hands out a little bit. Now you might feel some stretch in the outside of the left hip. Breathe into that space. Deeper. And as you exhale, imagine that that bubble of breath that you've got expanded into the stretch is getting smaller and allowing a melting process to happen through the stress you've collected in your hip. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, come over to the other side. And if you're seated in a chair for these postures, just let your hand be on your knee when you're doing this and lean in this direction like so. Wherever you're at, remember we have that continuous loop to focus on in the breath. Over and over. That's all we got to think about is, what does my breath feel like right now when I'm taking this stretch? Inhale, come back up. Exhale, let your hands come down, and now we're going to stand up. With your next inhale, reach your arms up. And when you exhale, let your hands come down in front of you. Maybe you can place them on the knees. Maybe you can put them on the shins. Some of us can touch our toes. Or even flatten our hands out on the earth in front of us. Doesn't matter how far you can reach. What matters is you start to feel a stretch in the back of your body. Not just the back of your legs, but maybe even your back of neck and every space between the back of the neck and the heels. What you feel is what you breathe into. Big inhales, long exhales, and release any tension in your neck. Let the top of your head come down. Inhale, bend the knees slightly and reach back up. And we're going to repeat that motion 2 more times. Exhale over. Inhale, reach up. Exhale over. And now this time, step the left foot back. Place your knee down. Reach your arms up. Bend at the elbows. And then try to lean back and look up at the same time. Notice the body might get wobbly here. That's okay. Breathe to help steady the wobbles by steadying your breath. As you exhale, bring your hands back down. With an inhale, step the back foot forward. Create some length in your body like so. And then exhale, bend the knees and send the other foot back. We're going to move into the other side of the posture now. Breathe deep on the inhales and take long exhales. Exhale, bring your hands back down. Inhale, step the left foot forward. As you exhale, step your right foot back. And then see if you can stand up in this posture. If you can't, then bring that back knee back down. Notice where you feel changes in the body. Breathe into them. I can feel this around the front of my hip and the back leg. I'm going to imagine I'm inflating that spot. And I'm exhaling to release that spot. Bring your hands back down. Step the back foot forward. And then switch sides by stepping the other foot back. Reach up. Deeper inhales. Longer exhales. A few more breaths here. With your next exhale, let your hands come down. Step the front foot back so that you're in a high push-up position. And then push your hands forward. Step your feet forward a little bit. And then bend at your knees. Let your heels come off the ground. And we'll take our first attempt at downward facing dog. Some of us will be able to have long legs in this posture, but that's not important. What's more important is that you try to push your hands forward, but they stay in the same spot and get the back of the hips up high for a long spine. Breathe a few more breaths. If this gets really hard, you can always bring your knees down and take on the child's posture. I like to call this the breathing pose. It helps us recollect our breath. With your next inhale, step your feet forward to meet your hands. Lengthen out your body. And as you exhale, fold over and place your hands on opposite elbows. Dangle here. And let your body move around a little bit into all the little sore spots you feel. And take way deeper inhales. And let your exhales last way longer than you think they can. This time as you inhale, bend your knees like you're trying to sit down in a chair and reach your arms out and up in front of you. This is called the chair posture. We're going to hold this for a little bit longer. You can always just stand up if you're getting too tired, but I invite you to try to bend legs more. Reach even further. Deep breathing. Maybe you can sit a little lower and reach a little further. I call this the bliss pose. It doesn't feel like bliss just yet, but now inhale and reach up. And as you exhale, bring your hands to your heart and let your eyes close, and notice that there's a new energy pattern moving through your body. Let this new energy pattern move around and enjoy it. Next, we're going to take a balancing pose. This is called the tree pose. Take your left foot, and I'm going to mirror you guys, so I'm actually using my right foot, and lift the heel off the ground and put it into the heel on your other leg. This is where some of us will balance at, and some of us will be able to bring the bottom of our foot against our inner shin. If you wobble and you have to fall over, that's fine. Falling out of the pose is the fastest way to get better at the pose. And look at me, I'm already wobbling. I've been doing this for a long time. Big inhales. Long exhales. Think about this bent knee going back behind you. Feel where that opens up in the body. Let that foot come down. Let's move into the other side. For this posture, you can try pressing the bottom of your foot that's on the bent knee leg into the straight leg, and that helps you to find a little bit more from the posture. And whenever you're wobbling in a balance pose, one side of your foot will try to peel up. Just push it back down. The other side will then try to pull up, push it down. And if you just focus on this and creating a steady breath, I find that really helps a lot. As you exhale, release this posture. And now we're going to come back to a seated posture as we're almost out of time. Remember, you can take these cushions underneath you if you need them, or sit in a chair. We're going to work on a little bit of breath work. So feel free to close the eyes at this point, or you can watch me and close the eyes next time. But what you're going to try to do is send a bubble of breath down into the belly, down beneath your belly button. We normally only breathe in the chest, but I want you to imagine that you're inflating your belly. And when you exhale, squeeze your belly in like you're trying to send your navel to your spine. Do the same thing, but this time breathe into the lower ribs. Expand the top of your belly. And exhale, pull it in. Now inhale into your chest like you're inflating the back of your sternum. Exhale, pull the sternum in, breathe out, push out every little sip of air. Inhale, try to fill up into the collarbones and up towards your jaw. Exhale, imagine those spaces can be pulled in. And breathe out through them. Inhale and imagine that the air flowing through your nostrils is filling up your brain. Exhale, let your brain melt and allow it to send energy down through the rest of the body. And now we're going to try to go in that sequence in one breath. So inhale, low belly, high belly, chest, throat and jaw, brain. Exhale, let the brain melt down through every cell of your body. One more round of doing that movement of the breath. Up as you inhale, down as you exhale. Now close your eyes and release this technique. If you haven't already had your eyes closed, close your eyes now and just breathe normally and notice if anything feels slightly different. Enjoy the different feeling you might have. So we've gotten just a little bit over 20 minutes. So I'm going to conclude the practice for now, but if you're enjoying this feeling that you're having, simply continue to breathe with your eyes closed and track where the feeling moves in your body. For those that are needing to leave behind the practice, I bow to you and I say namaste, which means the light, the energy, and the love inside of me recognizes the light, energy, and love inside of you. I hope to see you again for another practice. This was just a quick introduction, but we'll guide next practice into a little bit deeper postures, a new breath technique, and a little bit more time guided with meditation. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your practice with me today.